Mike, I don't want them hearing you in the background.
All right, we're on.
Are we
I
on?
think we're ready to
We're
call
on.
to order.
Okay, all right. This is the Village of Lincoln Heights regular council meeting. Today's date is Monday, April 13th. The time is 7:33 p.m. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey,
Present.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Present.
Councilman Durance Daniels,
Present.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Present.
Councilwoman Phyllis Faber,
Present.
Councilwoman Kathy Goodwin Williams,
Present.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Present.
We have 7 who are present. We do have a quorum.
Okay. Motion in order for acceptance of the agenda.
I move to accept the agenda. Second.
Okay. Motion in order. It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. Motion in order for filing of the journal for the committee of the whole meeting minutes for March 9th, 2020, and regular council meeting minutes for March 9th.
Motion.
Second. It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any nays? Announcements? Councilman Daniels? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was trying to look in front of me. I don't know if Vice Mayor is going to do it, but I was just going to announce just the dropout points for food this week. So I know throughout the week from 5 to 6:30, any people that need hot meals, they've been providing those at St. Monica's. So if we'll go back in miscellaneous, I'll have those notes pulled up just for further details, but that's the only notes I have.
Okay. All right. Any announcements? Councilman Jeter?
Yes, I would like to say that if you need a vote by mail application, I have plenty of them. You just simply come to my house, 1033 Adams Street, open the door, reach in the box and get as many as you want and mail them in. Also, don't forget to fill out the census. We are at home now and have time to do that. You can mail it, email, or you can call it in. So be sure that we get that information in. And I want to say a special thank you to all of council members and people that are working at the village along with the community, those that are out there keeping us safe, and those that are fire and police. And also special thanks to Ms. Carmen Daniels, who and her group, and also Ms. Laverne, who was not present, but it's part of it, for providing folks with meals. And thank you. And I believe that Ross has been doing the same thing along with Vice Mayor. So and to the village manager's been helping. So if you've helped in any way that I don't know, I say thank you for what you're doing for the people. We the people. You know, at the beginning of the year, I said we're going to start off with love. And that is what we're doing now. So thanks to all of you and to the mayor who was out Sunday at the Easter giveaway, Easter basket giveaway, asking folks to fill out the get out the vote application. The vote application. So I just want to say thank you and show love to everybody. And remember that these are difficult times, but we can hold on to each other by just loving each other. Thank you for all that you do.
Mayor, may I interject for a moment?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Jeter, first with regard to the census, thank you for bringing that up. I actually completed mine over the weekend online. I think it took 7 minutes, so very simple to do. You mentioned the voting, the ballots. Could you explain what's going on in Hamilton County a little bit so people understand why that is so important?
Okay, so what's going on in the whole state of Ohio is that you cannot go to the polls to vote. unless you are one of those special handicapped people, and that's the only way you can do it. The doors are not open for you to go in and actually fill out your ballot. You need to send for a vote by mail application and get it back in a timely manner, which means they should be in before the end of the week so the ballot can come back to you, and you must have it back to them by April the 28th or 29th. I don't have it in front of me. So there are there's an issue on the ballot that we may be interested in voting for. And it's important that we get out the vote, and hopefully in November, we will all use the vote by mail opportunity. I hope that addressed what you were talking about, Mr. Depop. I'm not sure. Did you need me to go any deeper?
That was excellent. Part of it was a little bit of an education for me because I caught the tail end of it on a newscast one evening. But as I understand it, basically the primary election that was supposed to occur in March is still occurring. They're just allowing a longer period of time for the votes to come in. And it's that April 28th or 29th date you mentioned.
28th, yeah.
But the only way most of us can vote is by mailing in a ballot. And I, who have been watching the news fairly regularly, see a lot about the coronavirus, but I don't see a lot about one of our most important rights, which is voting. And this is a very important primary. We have contested positions all across the board, the sheriff, the prosecutor. As you mentioned, there are some other initiatives on the ballot. And I just appreciate you getting out the fact that the election is still going on, and whatever the results are, they're going to be as meaningful as if we'd gone in person back in March. So it's very important that everyone gets out and gets that mail-in ballot.
Thank you. And the council, if you need copies, they are in my hallway. Open the door and get as many as you can, and call your neighbors, your friends, and your foes, and ask them to fill it out and get it in now. If you wait too late, you won't get the ballot back. And you need to and once you get the ballot, you need to fill it out and either take it over or mail it. I like to take it. There's a drive-through, looks like a bank. You drive through, drop it in, you don't have to get out. So there's no contact there.
I just dropped some over today.
Did you drive? Thank you. But it's important that we get out and reach out to our neighbors, because some of them don't know it. They don't know anything about this, and they're starting to ask questions when they hear people talk about it. So I need your help. Thank you. Anyone else?
All right, thanks for the info. All right, Councilwoman Phyllis Baber, any announcement for you?
I don't really have any announcements. I did want to say, send my condolences to the Hurd and Jackson family, because Karen Hurd was he was killed about a couple of days ago. So
Thank you, Ms. Baber. Okay, Vice Mayor Stinson.
Yes, I have an
Any
announcement. I have an announcement. Tomorrow, April 14th at 2 p.m., the teachers of Lincoln Heights Elementary will parade through the village. We're asking that village residents come out on their porch. We're still respecting the social distancing. Bring your bullhorns, your cowbells, your pots and pans. At 2 o'clock, we're gonna make some noise, and we're gonna keep our children encouraged, and we're gonna also keep our teachers encouraged. They missed the children tremendously, so we plan to parade throughout the village tomorrow at 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Vice Mayor? Okay, all right. Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell, any announcement for you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, how are you doing up there?
I'm doing great, enjoying the grandkids, you know, whole different scenery.
Okay, all right, we'll be glad when you get to come back this way.
Me too.
Okay, all right. The only announcement that I have is I want to congratulate one of our oldest residents, Mr. Daniels, which is Councilman Daniels' grandfather. Today is his birthday. So I just want to tell him happy birthday. He was a fireman years ago in the village of Lincoln Heights. So I want to thank him. His first name is Albert.
Albert, yes, ma'am. Albert Lee
Yeah.
Daniels, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I just want to tell him happy birthday. And I also want to thank the Spirit of Christ Church for doing the Easter basket drive-through. It was a lot of fun helping to do that, and it was very important. There was a lot of residents that was not aware that they had to mail those voter forms out. So I was able to talk to a lot of them as they drive through doing the social distancing, but I was able to give out that information. So that's all I had. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I do have an announcement. I like to toot my own horn.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes,
I
ma'am.
won the Viking Excellent Award at Lincoln Heights Elementary for the year.
Woo, woo.
All right.
I'm very
yay.
proud of that.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's
And
it.
you worked very hard for that. What do you mean that's it? And you worked very hard for that. Excellent job. If nobody knows that we have a writer in the midst of us, Vice Mayor Stinson. She wrote a play, a Black History play, and did an outstanding job. And I'm looking forward to seeing her next play next year.
All right.
All right. Okay. If there's nothing further, I need a motion. Yes, I'm sorry.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I had
sir.
that email pulled up just to talk about the meals. Is that okay if I can just read that off real quick?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So tomorrow, Tuesday, April 14th, from 11 to 1 p.m., food will be provided at Lincoln Heights Elementary School. These are for all children. You must have someone under 18 with you. And then at the evening, though, April 14th, from 5 to 6:30, meals will be provided by the Church Christ of Glendale. That'll be at St. Monica Center. Please enter on the Douglas Street. There'll be Subway given away. On Wednesday, from 5 to 6:30, Cafe Hope will be providing meals at St. Monica's. Please enter on Douglas Street. And then Thursday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., LHOI Food Pantry will have their grocery giveaway once again. So you can pull up drive-through style at 9913 Wayne Avenue and get your groceries for the week and produce. And then also during that time on Thursday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., lunch will be provided for the kids once again at Lincoln Heights Elementary School. And then at that evening on Thursday from 5 to 6:30, meals will be provided by La Soup Cincinnati via Forever Kings Incorporated at St. Monica's. Once again, please enter on Douglas Street. And those are the things that we have going on this week to try to make sure everybody is taken care of.
All right.
Mayor.
Thank you so much.
Mayor, you
Yes,
skipped
ma'am.
over me. It's okay.
Oh, I'm
Skipped over
sorry.
me. That's okay.
I'm so sorry, Miss
That's okay.
Kathy.
No, I just really want to again say thank you to everybody, all of the essential workers. All too often, you know, we take them for granted. And it's in times like these where we see how important those people are. I know probably everybody here has somebody in their family or a close friend or relative who is an essential worker in some form or fashion. So again, just thank you and much respect. And as they say, they go to work for us. So can we please stay home for them?
Thank you so much. And I apologize for skipping over you.
That's okay.
I'm using a highlighter and it is not working for me. All right. Thank you, though.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Daniels and Ms. Mitchell, would you please call out those names of organizations that you are that have provided food for people? I'm not just going to say Lincoln Heights, but just food. Mr. Daniels. So we want to do a thank you to them.
Mr. Daniels,
I'm planning something, Linda.
You're planning something?
I am. But
Okay.
yeah, shout them out though.
So I'm just gonna go off of the email chain here. It's been so many different people. I don't want to leave anybody out, but Lincoln Heights Missionary Baptist Church, Reconciled Church, Pastor McIntosh at Ebenezer Baptist Church, LHOI, Carmen Daniels with the Valley Food Pantry, Princeton City Schools, Jamal Pinkins at Mount Moriah Church, Ms. Don Bailey from Lincoln Heights Elementary School, Trisha Roddy, Princeton City Schools. You have Tom Burton, you have the Heights Movement, you have Scotty's Cafe, Cornelius Henderson, Pastor Cornelius and their church. You have Miss Melissa Monic as well. This list goes on and on. Mr. Michael Wimbury. It's been a blessing for the folks that, like you said.
Don't forget La Rosa's.
The Rosas. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. You kind of put me on the subway. Chick-fil-A. There's been so many people and so many organizations that have stepped up and decided to help our community. So like you said at the beginning, Ms. Linda Childs Jeter, you know, it's going to be built through love. And if anything, I think this crisis has showed that safely, as you said, Councilwoman Kathy Goodwin-Williams, make sure everybody's safe, but at the same time, making sure that our community is taken care of.
All right, so let me give some of the other names. Compass Church, the Lincoln Heights Health Center, Ascension Holy Trinity, John Simons, Princeton Closet, and there's a host of others that we are beginning to, in addition to the ones, but I don't have a list in front of me, that the Valley Boosters is sending thank you notes to.
And of course, Princeton, Miss Jeannie is going to say something about that at a later time. But we all can do something too. We have received something, so it's time for us to give. You can go online to your local food bank and give a monetary donation. I ask that of you with love.
Okay, Mayor, if I could add as well, the village staff has been assisting in every way, helping with the food drives as well. Still maintaining, trying to maintain a cleanliness in the village. So everybody's working hard at the village. I'd like to also just say happy birthday to DeRonce's grandfather. I understand, did the fire truck make it by?
Yes,
Okay,
man. I
good.
thank you so much. And thank you again and my grandfather was so happy. I wish you all could see the smiles on his face. And thank you all. And I'm sorry I forgot to mention you guys, Mr. Dukes. Thank you. And then Michael Pearl as well from St. Monica's. I think I forgot to mention them as well.
Yes, yes.
It's been a blessing. Thank
a
you.
lot of people, definitely.
Mayor.
Just love. Just love.
Yes. Yes.
I wanted
Ms.
to see if I could
Kendall.
ask Councilman Daniels if he can send me a copy of the listing for this week as far as the food pantries. Because usually I get a call.
Okay, I'm forwarding it to you now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. All right. Next, I have a motion in order for acceptance of the agenda.
Well, we already did that.
And we already done did that. Hey, I had so many announcements. I done went back to the top.
You know what, Mayor,
Okay.
though, I did notice that the next item, which is item 6, hearing from the residents, that's not something we're going to be doing tonight. So, and the reason, of course, is that there's not a requirement under the Open Meetings Act for public comment. The public merely needs to be able to observe it in real time, which we are providing for through the live stream that ICRC is doing. And because it's difficult when you're using, I'm going to call it video conferencing, to have the public making comments. And hopefully once we get back to live sessions here soon, we'll be able to reinstitute that. But a motion would be in order to remove agenda item 6, hearing from the residents, from the agenda.
Well, one reason why we had put it on there in case some residents did want to call in and had a question or a comment and wanted us to respond to it. So that's one reason why we left it on there, but we can do that and then just put it on there as we get them wanting to address a question that they may have or a statement they want us to elaborate on.
That's an excellent idea.
Okay.
Did you receive anything for tonight's meeting?
No, that's what I was getting ready to say. We did not receive any calls or requests.
Okay, well then, why don't you go ahead and leave it on the agenda then? I didn't realize you were doing that. My apologies. So that's fine. Leave it on. But as you mentioned, there were nothing received. So there's really nothing for that item. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Okay, we're to the regular agenda. Communications from the Clerk of Council, Lisa Randolph.
Yes, we did get a thank you card from Cynthia Terry, the Clerk of Courts. And it says, "Thank you for being an instrument God used to bless me. It provided groceries and more. I appreciate your beautiful gifts." And it's to the mayor, the village manager, village staff, as well as council. "Thank you for your kindness. Is appreciated very much for your monetary gift and kind, thoughtful words. Cynthia K. Terry." And that's all I have.
Thank you. All right. Next is communication from the Mayor's Court. And so as you all know, Mayor's Court has been delayed till May 13th, depending on if anything else changes, but it is not open, and the interim clerk of court has notified all individuals that are on the docket. Okay, so the Lincoln Heights Mayor's Court monthly report for March reads as: total to the state, $371.50. Total area fines and external agencies, 0. Total to other entities, including restitution, $10.50. Total bonds forfeited to the village, 0. Total to the village, including miscellaneous receipts, adjustments, and BA fees, $2,422.88. Totaling dispersed, $2,804.88. Any questions? So in your packet also is listed the bank reconciliation as well, which was
Mayor, I have a
emailed.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
With Mayor's Court, if there is something that's owed, can people still send in money?
I would suggest them to do that. Yeah, because she still has a lockbox, and she actually, they are calling in and she's allowing them to make payments over the phone as well.
Okay,
And they can
that's good.
drop off in the lockbox as well. So she is still continuing to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Is there a motion in order to accept the bank reconciliation?
Motion. Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. Next is communication from the village manager, Mr. Anthony Dukes.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll see if I can get through this pretty quickly. I would like to just commend the village residents for complying with the federal, state, and local mandated COVID-19 restrictions. We had to seal off all the public areas, the basketball courts, the recreational facilities, to ensure that there was no large gatherings. So the community is really coping with it very well at this time. So I'd like to commend them for following those guidelines. We're bracing for the physical, psychological, and financial impacts that are still unknown at this time. And we're, looking to, in the coming months, to kind of really assess the impact of this pandemic. So we just encourage all the residents and businesses to just kind of remain strong and stay positive, and know that the village staff is still there to assist and answer any questions that they may have. We're continuing to work on our code enforcement efforts in the community, and still bringing those codes and policies up to par. The service department is still getting out, trying to make sure the village-owned properties are mowed as on a regular basis, to ensure that the community is aesthetically pleasing to the residents and visitors alike. So, we're just really out and about trying to make things happen during this time. you know, if you've rode down Stephen Avenue, you'll notice that the gazebo is in place. So, you know, it's a nice gazebo. We're still working on the park so that once this is over, you know, we'll definitely encourage residents to come out and you know, partake of the new improved park area that we're currently working on. We're looking to bring out some new benches and new trash receptacles with the remaining CDBG funds that were allocated to the improvement of that park. And just to, you know, announce again, the basketball goals are up and in place. So we're looking to make that facility available after this, the restrictions are lifted. If you've come by the village, you've noticed that the flags are flying half staff for the officer that was killed recently from Springdale. So the village is doing its part in honoring our fallen soldiers. And one final thing is there's a reminder that we're still accepting applications for the 2020 Home Improvement Program. So you can call if the number 513-733-5900 and request a application, or you can go on our village website, www.vlho.org, and request a copy of the application. So we just encourage the homeowners that may still have the funds to participate. The grant is up to $1,000, and it's no match is required, and it's offered on a first come, first served basis. And applicants that are successful can only apply every other year. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there any questions for the village manager? Okay, motion to accept his report.
Motion to
Motion.
accept.
It's been
Second.
moved. Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right. Okay, next is committee reports. Is there any committee reports? Okay, so there's no committee reports. So that means next council meeting, we're gonna have some committee reports, correct? Council? Okay, all right. Okay, we're gonna move on to old businesses and the liquor licenses. In your packet, Ms. Randolph had given information regarding the liquor permit information. It should be in your packets. She had to fax the one that had to deal with, which Mr. Desai had forwarded on. Mr. Desai, do you want to elaborate on what Ms. Randolph had to send off, which I think they have in their packets?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So the Division of Liquor Control notified us about a liquor permit renewal for a business in the village. There are various grounds on which the legislative authority of the village can object. One of those grounds is not making required payments to the tax department. The tax administrator confirmed that those payments were not being made. And so there was an objection, pardon me, there was an objection filed by the deadline, which I believe was Monday, March 23rd. But Ms. Randolph, the clerk, who was authorized under the objection form they supplied to note the objection, signed it, requesting a hearing in the county as opposed to a hearing up in Columbus. And so that objection went out, and we will be getting notification from the Division of Liquor Control about the scheduled hearing. So as soon as that is made available to us, myself and Ms. Randolph will communicate back with council about that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions for Mr. Desai? Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Desai. I did want to, before we move on, since we're mentioning businesses, for Mr. Duke, will we be able to get information as far as what businesses have filed their taxes at our finance meeting?
Yes, I'll be working with Ms. Peterson, our tax administrator, to provide a listing of those. We've already been talking about a few of them, but I don't think there's a listing provided yet. Ms. Pope may have something to add in regards to whether or not Ms. Peterson is pulling anything together regarding those businesses.
Are you talking, Mayor, are you talking about the business license list?
Right, that's my question.
Yes.
Okay, so far we've collected $3,500 this year for business licenses. We have about 5 of companies that we collected 2 years worth of business license fees. So it would be 2019 and 2020.
Okay.
So she's updating that list as far as new companies that may be here that, you know, for some reason that we don't have updated information on. As she receives those, she has an updated list on the accurate or the correct number of businesses that are actually here in Lincoln Heights. So, but so far this year, we've collected 3,500 and we estimated 3,000. So we were assuming there were about 30 businesses here.
Okay. Any other questions, anybody? Ms. Mitchell?
No, I was going to ask the same question when you said business, when you said taxes, I wanted to know if you meant business license. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably going to come back on miscellaneous and mention some more, okay?
And we do have a current list, Mayor.
All right. All right. Thank you, Ms. Pope. Okay. Next is new business. Oh, there's nothing further on that, if there's no other questions. Okay. I need a motion regarding resolution number 2020 R11, resolution declaring a state of emergency in the village of Lincoln Heights, Hamilton County, Ohio, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. Is there a
Motion to read by title only.
Second.
It's been moved and second to read by title only. Roll call, Ms. Randolph.
Don't I read it by title first? No? Okay. Councilman Durance Daniels.
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter.
Yes.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kathy Goodwin Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kinsey Mumphrey.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Yes.
Okay, we have 7 aye votes. The motion passed. Village of Lincoln Heights, Hamilton County, Ohio, resolution number 2020-R-11. A resolution declaring a state of emergency in the village of Lincoln Heights, Hamilton County, Ohio, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic.
I'd like the motion to suspend the rules.
Vice Mayor, before you do that, could I just make a comment about the resolution I want to make sure everyone's aware of?
Yes.
Okay, Vice Mayor, do you mind withdrawing the motion for a moment?
I withdraw the motion.
Thank you. So what I wanted to point out is section 3 of the resolution. I've pulled the document up on my computer. I presume everyone can still see me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So Section 3, in a nutshell, allows for the village manager to enter into a contract for work to be done within the village to purchase supplies or materials without formal bidding and advertising, so as to maintain essential village operations and to deal with the present emergency. This is authorized by Revised Code Section 735.051, which is referenced in Section 3. So 2 things I wanted to point out. First, I wanted to let everyone know that I had put that into the resolution. It is something that we have done for other municipalities that my firm represents. And the idea is to empower the manager / administrator if they need to purchase materials, purchase supplies, to go ahead and do that without the formal bidding and advertising requirements that are normally in place under Ohio law. The second piece, which is important as well, is that it authorizes the village manager to do that without the pre-authorization of council in an amount not to exceed $25,000. That is just an arbitrary number that I put in there. I have seen it for one of our municipalities be as high as 100,000. And I put that number in there, again, kind of just randomly. So I wanted, again, to first make sure that everyone was aware and comfortable with the authorization to purchase supplies or materials without formal bidding or advertising that the manager might deem essential for municipal operations. And also, if you are comfortable with that as a majority, are you comfortable with the dollar amount of $25,000, which would allow the manager to make those purchases up to $25,000 without pre-authorization from council? Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Goodwin.
So, and this, my question is to Mr. Dukes. So with this information being here, do you have any examples of what could come up, that would exceed this amount? I'm asking that question because I think if that's not enough, will we have to have like a special meeting, to come together and authorize an increased amount over the 25,000?
Well, Ms. Goodwin Williams, at the moment, I can't foresee too much with the exception of natural disasters that may occur during this time, that we may have to tend to some trees or power lines or some things of that nature that may happen in the village. But historically, I don't think there's been a case of anything. So at the moment, I'm comfortable with the amount that's stated, unless someone else thinks that, we should increase it.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor.
Yes, wait a minute. Vice Mayor.
Laverne was first, Mayor.
Okay,
Ms.
I
Mitchell
can't
was
see her
first.
on my screen. I can't see her on my screen. Go ahead, Ms. Mitchell.
Okay, so my question, Mr. Desai, is, so what is the typical amount that an administrator can do? Is it 25,000 already?
Yes, so the main point, and it's a good question. The village manager has authority to enter into contracts, if I'm recalling correctly, up to $25,000 already.
Right.
And that's probably was somewhere in the back of my mind when I threw that number in there, I'm guessing. The first piece of the legislation, though, that allows him to do that without the bidding and advertising requirements under Ohio law, even if you left it at 25,000, that's important, because if he finds there's a need to, for example, let's say there was a road in the village that for some reason was in desperate need of repair. And he was concerned about emergency vehicles being able to access, residents or fire hydrants or whatever. This would allow him to eliminate the bidding and advertising requirement under the law. So even if you keep it at 25,000, which he, as you said, he has already, the first piece of it, which allows you to forego the bidding and advertising requirements, is important. But again, the 25,000 was just arbitrary. So if it's council's feeling, a majority of council's feeling that the legislation should be amended to give him a higher amount, you can do that. But even if you don't, that first piece, avoiding the bidding and advertising requirements, I think is important for Mr. Dukes.
Okay, no, I think it's enough. I just wanted to make sure we understood that this is not necessarily something special other than the bidding piece, because he can already spend that amount. So.
Correct. If it's properly appropriated in the budget, yes.
Mayor.
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, it's not really a concern, but my thoughts are, this is like emergency money, right? This is not just, we're just gonna do that or make up a reason to spend this 25,000. This has to be COVID-19 related, correct?
Yes, although it is a little bit further reaching, because there's a declared state of emergency, it would allow him to do it for things that he thought were necessary to maintain the essential operations of the village. So I guess it could go beyond that in terms of, let's say, for example, there were a group of trees or a row of trees that were threatening to, fall down on people's houses or enter the roadway, something of that nature. Mr. Dukes would be able to forego the bidding and advertising requirements, hire I'm going to call it a tree company, to come in and take care of those limbs.
But so, COVID didn't knock down those trees.
COVID did not make those trees grow and pose a problem. But I'm just trying to answer your question that, yes, the impetus for this is the pandemic, but the authority under the statute, once a state of emergency is declared, would allow him to do things that may not be directly related to COVID-19. For example, he's not limited to buying face masks for the communities or protective gowns. He can use it to make sure that a road that's in disrepair is repaired, because he wants to make sure emergency vehicles can access residents, fire hydrants, that type of thing. So it is a power that actually goes beyond just directly COVID-related matters.
I have a question.
That's a good one.
So that makes me think about the funds that have been allotted from the state, from the federal to the state and local governments in reference to COVID-19. Have we received any of those funds that could be used to,
we haven't received any funding. There hasn't been any communication as to how that funding is going to come down to the locals as of yet. So we're just waiting. And of course, the thing that I believe in communication and collaboration. So, and as you know, I would definitely, get the feedback and see what we needed as a community. I'm not one to make rash decisions to spend money and do things of that nature. So it would only be at the gist of the council and the community that money would be spent to do things. So, but there hasn't been anything from the state or county yet, as of yet. And as I stated in my report, that may not happen until we understand what the financial ramifications of this COVID-19 pandemic are.
Okay.
And if I could just add one other thing, Mayor, if that's all right.
Yes, go ahead.
And I think it buttresses what Mr. Dukes was saying. The last sentence of section 3 of the legislation says that these items or services to be purchased by the village manager must also be authorized by the mayor. So it is, as Mr. Dukes said, a collaborative type of decision that would be made. And, you know, to the extent there's a concern about, you know, there being some checks and balances, the mayor also has to authorize it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Vice Mayor?
I don't have questions. I just have reservations. And I don't know. My soul don't feel right if we do something to get the roads fixed or whatever, because for emergency people to get through, I don't know. I don't want to spend money on stuff just because we can spend it because it's an emergency time. And Mr. Dukes, I don't think that you would just spend like that, but I want it on record that I don't want this money spent just because it's a pandemic and we can spend $25,000 or whatever to try to get the roads fixed. I understand all that politics with that, but let it be for real, to help with the pandemic. That's just how I feel.
Well, Vice Mayor, I agree. And you know, basically, before any money would be spent, I would think that if it came to that point, we would be looking more to the state and county to provide those resources and wait until the last minute, you know, for the sake of the community, if we had to make some expenditures.
That's right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. All right. Okay, so are we gonna get a motion to suspend the rules for resolution 2020 R11?
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call, Ms. Randolph?
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kathy Goodwin Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion passed.
Is there a motion on the, it usually would be motion on the floor, but since we're here, is there a motion for passage of resolution 2020 R11?
The motion for passage.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call, Ms. Randolph?
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kathy Goodwin Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Yes.
We have 7 aye votes. The motion passed.
Motion in order for the emergency clause?
Motion. A second.
Okay. It's been moved in second. Roll call, Ms. Randolph?
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes.
Councilman Durant Daniels,
Yes. You can't hear me?
sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, yes. Yep, for the record.
Councilwoman Linda Childs, I can hear you now.
Yes. Yes.
She's free.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Yes.
did she say yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kathy Goodwin Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Ruby Kenzie Mumfree,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Aye.
We have an aye vote, so motion pass.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear Ms. Mitchell's vote.
I didn't either.
Yeah, aye.
Aye, so we have a 7-0 vote on the emergency clause.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next is the Village of Lincoln Heights audit. So I wanted to put this on the audit on there so we can have a discussion, because I know we got an audit coming and we also have a budget. But I wanted to find out from Ms. Pope what date that audit is scheduled for.
Currently, as of today's date, we don't have any scheduled time frame for the audit. They're going to do the schools first. So we don't know when that's going to happen because of the COVID-19. They are going to be remote. So everything will be transported remotely. And as of today, we don't have any other information as far as their start date.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Ms. Pope regarding the audit?
I don't have any question, Mayor. I just, just a comment that say that I'll be working with Ms. Pope to ensure that irregardless of the new timelines, we're going to be working to go ahead and make sure everything's in order so that when the dates are made available, we'll already have our things together. So I'll be working with her to put together the budget and the narratives and get things in line. I know Ms. Pope has been working over the past few months to make sure that all the files are in order. And so we're already pretty much on task with preparing for it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So if there's no anything for the audit, let's go to miscellaneous business.
Mayor, I have one more comment.
Okay.
The tax budget that's due July, well, it has to be passed by July 15th and it has to be submitted by July 20th. It has not, I have not received notice that they're going to change that date. And that's on the tax budget, the 2021 tax budget.
Can you give me that date again?
The tax budgets have to be passed on the 15th of July.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to be submitted to the county by the 20th of July. They have not sent me a notice saying that they're gonna push that back or anything. So right now we still should be working towards getting all the information together and having those meetings for that.
Okay. All right. All right.
Mayor,
Anyone?
Mr. Daniels had a question or something.
Yeah.
That's why I was getting to ask them. Go ahead, Councilman Daniels.
And it's kind of a two-parter now with the information that Ms. Pope just gave. But I guess first, Ms. Pope, I guess just off of that, have we reached out to them at all? Just asking. I know they're sending out a lot of information, but have we just reached out? Because my second part of my question is going to be, even as us as council members, I'm assuming the tax date has been pushed back for all of us because obviously we know we need to be in compliance with everything. But so it's a two-part question. A, if we don't know when and how the money that's coming into the village via our residents and everything else of that nature, since the tax date has been pushed back, how can we A, budget for that? And then B, just want to make sure that us as council members, do we still need to, when do we need to make sure that we are in compliance with our?
You're talking about two different things. The federal has been pushed back to July 15th, I believe.
Okay.
The extension for you to file your 1040s, that's been pushed back to July 15th. We definitely know that. But the village is required to submit a tax budget, a future tax budget. So it would be tax budget 2021. Those are always due in July. So last year it was 19, it was for 2020 tax budget. So as you kind of estimate the future based on your historical information. So
that's why I mean, how can we make an estimate?
Different things.
Okay.
Because it's just the estimate.
I got you. The estimate, I got you. We're basing them on what we have. Okay, okay. I got you. So even, okay.
So, but just for clarification, so the tax budget, I'm not sure that Mr. Daniels knows, but the tax budget is based on our levies and that information that will be sent out to us, not just our tax revenue.
Right.
Because I mean, even still,
Wait a
yes.
minute. I need y'all to, because she's recording this and we don't want to overlap. So you got a question now, Mr. Daniels?
No, I was just following up just because it just made me think about it all. My original question was going to be specifically just, just making sure us and myself, just making sure that we were still in compliance with the original date, since that's just right around the corner. But then it made me think about, well, how can you estimate when nobody really knows what their numbers are going to look like moving forward? So that was just my thinking behind it. But
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So Mr. Daniels does raise a point. He was talking in part about the qualifications for council. And one of the qualifications for council is that you not be delinquent on taxes owed or delinquent on filings due to the village. As Ms. Pope said, the income tax filing deadline at the federal level has been pushed back to July 15th. I'm not aware of the village filing deadline for income taxes having been pushed back.
No, not for income taxes, or the tax budget. The annual tax budget that we have to do. That is, as Ms. Mitchell said, that's based on levies and historical data, that historical revenue that we've received. So we usually try to estimate going by what we generally receive.
Missing it.
Now we're gonna, of course, the numbers will change for our income taxes that are on our earnings tax. That number is going to change because we probably won't get that amount that we usually get in April. We probably won't get it until July. So that's going to be a tricky situation. But so far, Hamilton County has not pushed back that requirement date for us to file our 2021 tax budget.
But for residents of the village, the income tax filing deadline of April 15th remains in place, correct?
No,
I don't think so. No, it's July 5th. Wait a minute, hold on. I talked to Miss Peterson and actually she informed me that they have to July 15th. Only thing is, if they owe, those balances due will still be July 15th. They don't get anything additional. And I'm pretty sure I sent that email to council, but I'll resend that out.
Yeah, we got it. I remember reading it.
Okay, all right.
So just so we're clear, the income tax filing deadline for the village of Lincoln Heights for 2020 is July 15th?
Yes.
Okay.
The same as your federal and your state. So it's all together.
Cool.
Yes, but I do need to say this for Ms. Peterson. She is also letting the residents know, and I just recently did a robocall, if they have estimated payments come July 15th, the estimated payment is going to be due, and that would be for April and June, is going to be due in July. So it behooves everyone, not just us, the residents, to go ahead and file those taxes. Don't wait till July 15th because you're going to be assessed a late fee if you have estimated payments that you needed to be making.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
In light of the situation, can the late fee be waived in light of the situation?
No, because they've already been given additional time. That would be a decision for Ms. Peterson, but she is informing them that the late fee may be waived, but to make those estimated payments, those are going to be due.
Right, that's what I'm talking about, the late fee, because people would not have filed, so.
Right, it won't be late.
The late fee for your second quarter payment will not be assessed. You won't get a late fee in July for April's payment that was due.
Right.
Now, if you don't pay in July 15th, then she's going to assess a late payment fee.
Okay. All All right. Okay. Is there any other miscellaneous business?
I have a couple questions, Mayor.
How many?
I said a couple, meaning two.
I have to be
Unless
specific
it's
with
changed.
you.
I don't think that the word definition has changed.
Okay, go ahead.
So going back and reading over the minutes, it talked about the census, the rapid response grant. I'd like to know what it was that we requested, and when have they notified anybody in terms of when that will come through in light of COVID-19?
Ms. Mitchell, I guess Ms. Pope kind of submitted the application and have probably some more of the details. I know what we applied for, some kiosk, mobile kiosk, and some tablets to go out and move around the community to assist residents in completing the census form online and supporting all of the organizations within the village that may request those mobile kiosks and things of that nature, as well as the potential staffing costs that'll be required to provide those kiosks after hours.
Have we heard anything in light of the fact that they don't even have their own numerating that? You know what I'm saying? In terms
we haven't heard anything. I know the grant indicated that they probably wouldn't say anything. They would just debit your account with the funds. And that's how you would pretty much know you were successful. Is that correct, Ms. Pope?
Can you see me? Because I'm on my email. Can you guys still see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we requested, I believe it was 22,000.
Yeah.
And we didn't receive any notification on when we would get that. And we did have to include our checking account and routing number. So I'm assuming also that it would be an automatic deposit, but we just haven't heard anything since this COVID-19.
So do we feel comfortable that it's automatic for that amount? I mean, I know what the amount up to was, but.
Really
I'm not comfortable. I can't definitely say the exact amount. They asked us to fill out a spreadsheet and list everything that we think we may want and what we may need actually. And so I'm not comfortable with saying that I know exactly how much we're going to receive.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say before you continue is that things are kind of frozen right now. So you got to give it a little extra time. That includes folks that are employed to do that door-to-door knock. Richard Heading was actually sent home from one of the training pieces because folks had to go and stay in place. So that may be what's happening now. You got to give them a little extra time. And perhaps the Census Bureau and the government will extend the time that they have in order to complete that census. Just want to say it that way.
Yeah, I did see where the census people have all of the tally and everything has been extended to 2021.
And they're still looking for people. If you want to apply for a job, you still can.
Okay. So Mayor, being that I'm not, nowhere near my hometown, and I see that the sergeant is on, what are we doing as far as COVID-19 enforcement? Because I get a lot of calls and messages about, our people gathering. So what are we doing for enforcement?
Turn your microphone on, Sergeant. Your microphone.
There you go.
Okay. We haven't had too many incidents. I guess Mr. Dukes has called me Saturday about the gentleman that passed away, and I guess they had a memorial for them. The only other issues that we've really had were people gathering at our corner, and I guess one of our deputies called the
The health.
the Hamilton County who's in charge of that? Board of Health, that's what it was. So they came down and they talked to them. I was there at our corner yesterday, well, actually Friday, for a call, and there's signs on the doors now. You can't have more than 5 people in there. So I think so far we're doing okay with the village and as it is.
Okay.
Anybody
Mayor,
have-
yeah, I have a question.
Okay, I may ask.
To Sergeant. Please tell me why the officers that are patrolling the area could not see that gathering.
I can't really say that they didn't see it. They went by it a couple times. But I mean, I guess we're kind of erring on the side of that, that they lost a family member and it's an Easter weekend. Things of that nature. I mean, I can't really tell you that. I was told that, there was maybe 10 cars there with 15 people, but that was on Saturday, I guess.
But Governor DeWine has ordered us not to be gathered like that. So as the sheriff from the sheriff department, they should have stopped that before Mr. Duke got the call.
Yeah, I can't really answer. I mean, I wasn't on Saturday.
Okay.
But
You're in
I'll
charge.
talk to my guys and explain to them, that, but they know, I mean, we haven't really seen many incidences that are like that, but that was just kind of, a once in a while incident, and the family was out there, and we got to kind of help their emotions and things of that nature, but disperse them. I mean, the family was very polite, and when they were told to leave, they left.
Thank you, Sergeant Sherman. Any other questions for Sergeant Sherman? Okay, thank you.
Yes,
okay. I did want to, does anybody else got anything else regarding miscellaneous business before I go into something I want to mention about earnings taxes and with the COVID-19? So we have to think about how the workers, people that work in the village, outside the village, how their jobs are being affected. So when you talk about, like Councilman Daniel said, earnings taxes, that's going to impact the village, our businesses, them having to lay off individuals, having to shut down. We have to look at looking to revise our appropriations for this year. So I would like to see Councilwoman Mitchell, when you have your next finance meeting, we need and work actually get with Ms. Pope and Mr. Dukes on revising and looking at how appropriations are going to be affected, because we're not going to, from the looks of it, we're going to have some decline in our general fund and revenue. So even going forward to talk about the budget for next year, we're going to have to work on how we're going to be impacted this year.
Well, Mayor, on that note then, I'd like to find out, how are we going to do our committee meetings? I know that we can do them by Zoom, but we also, the Vice Mayor and I had a conversation, and Mr. Desai clarified it, that we have to still make sure we stream it. So does that include ICRC, or would that be somewhere being moderated and controlled from Village Hall?
ICRC said they would do it, I thought.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't received anything like that. I just want to make sure that that is going to happen so that we know how we can do our meetings.
Yes. Mr. Dukes, did you want to say something?
Yes, yeah, ICRC has indicated that they would assist us in any manner with these meetings. There are the committee meetings and things of that nature. And if there's a requirement to stream the meetings, they would assist us in that manner as well.
Okay, okay. So we need to find out, because next week would be the finance meeting and actually the safety meeting. So we're gonna need to fine tune, get with ICRC no later than Thursday, so we can get Ms. Mitchell and Ms. Jeter up to speed, because they have to have time to prepare for their meetings.
That's fine, Mayor. I just as long as today's Monday, and get the information that you want us to look at, because if you're talking about amending the 2020 appropriation based on what income.
Our earning taxes that we're probably gonna not receive, from the looks of it, we may possibly are gonna fall short, and we're gonna have to probably make some cuts. For as maybe what we have appropriated for salt, we had a light winter, so that may be an area that we may want to look at. I do know I had mentioned it to Mr. Desai today. Mr. Desai, did you want to mention anything on it?
Well, I had a conversation with Sergeant Sherman, and I think the sheriff's office is willing to give us a discount for the rest of the year. Is that correct?
That's above my pay grade, sir.
We're still listening for the answer.
Okay.
No, but in all seriousness, so I've had this happen in a couple of municipalities that our firm represents. Most recently in Sycamore Township. Although they're a township, they do derive income taxes from what are known as the Joint Economic Development Zones. And so one of the things their township administrator did was to go through and look at the past revenue. So for example, 2019, and then show where he expected 2020 income tax revenue from those joint economic development zones to basically go down, so that he could then present to the Board of Trustees, this is the decline in revenue that we're going to have from these JEDs. And as a result, this is the impact on the bottom line. Once you can figure that out, and that's a function in the townships of the administrator and the fiscal officer, in municipalities such as villages and cities, I would expect that Ms. Peterson, the tax administrator, Ms. Pope, of course, with the assistance of Mr. Dukes, could help take a look at historically what has been generated from income taxes, and then say, based on the fact that this crisis started March 16th, and it looks like people aren't going to be going back to work until May 4th, here's what we estimate to lose during that time period. And then also you have to project out, and some of this is sort of guessing, but project out, are the businesses, for example, in Hamilton County or where people may work, are they going to be calling those people back, so that from May 4th moving forward, there's going to be meaningful earnings taxes from them. So it's an exercise in trying to forecast the downturn in income taxes, and then look at how that's going to impact your overall budget. So that if, for example, you have a $2 million budget and it was based on having $2 million in revenue and 500,000 of that was from earnings taxes, how is that now going to decrease, such that you might have to look at some of the appropriations made prior to this and decrease those. So, obviously real estate taxes aren't affected. The real estate taxes are going to remain where they are. But it's those earnings taxes, those income taxes that we have seen some of the municipalities we represent, some of the townships, begin to try to predict what the downturn is going to be, and then match it up against, historical numbers and see where their budget falls. Everybody's taking a different approach to those results. Sycamore Township, for example, had a nice rainy day fund. So, the immediate decision was not to curtail any services or any expenditures, because, hey, it's a rainy day and this is what we had the fund for. Other municipalities we represent are not in that position where they have a rainy day fund where they could do that. So they were appreciative of beginning to look at what the shortfall might be in terms of revenue versus expenses, and then say, okay, where can we tighten the belt? Where do we have some fat? You know, for example, as the mayor was saying, we had a mild winter. Presumably there was a fair amount of money, you know, allocated for salt or other things related to snow removal. That may be some fat that you can move over. So it's an exercise in beginning to realize, you know, whether you're a law firm like us or you're a municipality, your revenue for this year is going to be impacted. And as a result, try to forecast what that impact is going to be and look and see where you might have a shortfall, and then determine what you might need to cut or tighten up so that you still can meet expenses. Does that answer the question?
Mhm. For me, it does, yeah.
Well, Mayor, if I may add, you know, this is, we've been pretty frugal and tight with the budget thus far. And Ms. Pope and I have already begun to have these conversations, and we knew coming out of the winter season that the salt budget was gonna be, you know, the budget for the salt wasn't gonna be expended. And, you know, we know there were vehicles for the search department that aren't gonna, you know, happen this time. So we're just gonna basically start from what can we do without first and foremost, and in addition to what the potential forecasts are, which are still unknown at this time, and what the true impacts are. But as Mr. Desai said, it's a guessing game that we'll begin to do the projections and forecasts based on historical data. And as the collections come in the forthcoming months, we'll be able to get a better idea of what kind of fallout we'll be looking at. But we already are kind of basically looking at cutting the non-essential items and expenses out of the budget. So we're going to be working on that. And again, when we, whatever Ms. Mitchell needs in the finance committee, she knows we work closely together to try to pull the things out and discuss them and bring them to the council that makes sense. So we're going to be working on this. So have no doubt.
Oh, it wasn't a doubt. I just wanted to bring that awareness up, not just you and Ms. Pope, but council, so we can, you know, I know how we have some wish lists, and I knew that we was going to have to, or some of us have wish lists, but I do know that we were going to have to dig deep and try to have a conversation with our finance chair and council. Okay, so is there any other miscellaneous business?
Mayor, I have a piece.
Yes, ma'am.
So as the project, I guess, is coming to a close with the 75 as it comes over behind the Wendy's onto Shepherd. So I've gotten quite a few questions about what that area is going to look like there. And there's somewhat of an island that is, if you're driving, it's to the right next to the two houses on one on Shepherd and on Shoemart. And who is responsible for caring for that piece of property there? Because it's a grassy hill area. So that's been a question that was posed to me. Who's going to be responsible for that? That grassy area there. And will the state put up some type of fencing or guardrail or wall for that area right there? And then also, I noticed that there is a crosswalk that has gone up with the crosswalk signs. And I think that I noticed that there's one, I know that there's one that allows you to cross over Shepherd at the stop sign there, but then there's also one across. So the question was posed to me, are they planning to open up Catherine Street to go into Laughlin? So do we know any of that? Has any of that been talked about or discussed?
Not that I know of. Mr. Duke, have you seen anything like that? I haven't.
Nothing in reference to the opening of Catherine Street into Laughlin, but as far as the island where Schumacher comes into the new alignment, we just got some communication from ODOT today regarding that property, and they are gonna grind up and remove the asphalt and seed that area. And it's my understanding as soon as the project is over, the parcels that remain under ODOT control, they're gonna turn them over to the village.
Okay.
It's our job to maintain those.
Because I just kind of noticed that the people who live in those two houses are starting to park their cars on that property.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of unattractive coming off that ramp right there to see that.
Those are gonna be, the island is gonna be removed. They're only gonna have their driveways that go to their property.
Okay.
And, you know, we were looking at beefing up some code enforcement efforts in that area anyway. But with ODOT going forward with taking up that old asphalt, that's gonna help. And then, you know, they'll fall into the code violation of parking on the grass. And
okay.
There's a hint that there may be a little more going on, or unlicensed business or something as well. We're keeping our eye on that, and we'll be kind of approaching it once ODOT finishes.
So you're saying that that island, what looks like an island, that has like a little bit of a hill on it, like right adjacent to those two houses, that's gonna go away?
Yeah,
because it looked like they built a curb in there.
No, there are two driveways that are gonna approach those houses, and in between those driveways is some asphalt from the old Schumacher alignment. So that old asphalt is gonna be removed. And then
okay.
Grassy area, but again, it'll become a village right of way, and it'll be our job to, you know, with the assistance of the sheriff department, to keep it maintained and patrolled. So
okay.
And you know, perhaps when they're done, or even before they're done, we could send out letters and take flyers by the residents, so they'll know that it's not going to be allowed once the project is complete.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Good question. Good question. Thanks, Ms. Goodwin Williams. Any other questions, miscellaneous business y'all want to talk about before we get out of here? Nothing. Okay. Then there's a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Be safe and